in the third round, you can get some really good football players that can help this team now. And nothing against Mason. I think he's a great football player. I don't know him personally, but I'm sure he's a great kid. I just don't know how, backing up or being the third round, who knows where he's going to fall in the depth chart, but helps us win now. But, that's not my decision to make. That's on the coaches and the GM and owner and those kind of things. So if they feel like he can help our team, so be it. But I was a little surprised.
All right, so we bring Teddy Bruschi into the conversation here, won 3 Super Bowls in New England and knows the ins and outs of a locker room as well as just about anybody. So what was your reaction to Ben saying this? Because we've seen many examples over the years, and we will have it in many different places this year, of veteran quarterbacks and young players drafted to eventually take their jobs.
Well, I think young players and veteran players, Greeny, are going to have different perspectives on it. And if you're a 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th year player and you've been trying to win championships for so long and you know what it takes to win championships, I agree with Ben Roethlisberger, because we're not looking towards the future. Ben's not looking towards the future. He's looking till this year in terms of who are we drafted and who are we bringing in that can help us win a championship, that can help us score points, that can help us stop the better offenses in the AFC so we can get to the Super Bowl. This kid is not going to help us. I understand that. Could we have used that pick? I'm sure Ben could think of some great third-round picks that are on that team right now that are helping the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that'll help them this year. He just sees it as it is not going to help us this year reach the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, and I agree with him.
But do you have any issue with him being the one saying it, considering how many times I actually read 2 direct quotes from him in the last 2 years in which he has talked repeatedly about how he doesn't know how much longer he's going to play, he's thinking of retiring, and then all of a sudden they draft a quarterback and he says he's going to play 3 to 5 more years. Did you see any issue with that?
I take everything Ben Roethlisberger says with a grain of salt because of just the way it's been over the course of his career. He says he wants to retire. Well, that's February Ben Roethlisberger. What's May Ben Roethlisberger, and what does he say? I'm coming back. I want to play 3 to 5. That's just the way it is with certain players in the NFL in terms of the calendar and how it goes. Emotional February, back to thinking the way you should think, May, June, July. Let's go. Let's start winning championships. That's just the way it is. But in terms of, I think he's on point here. If you're late in your career, like I said, I want to win now. I want to win right now. Give me an offensive lineman. Give me a running back. Give me someone on defense that can help us. That's what he's saying.
I get it. I get that part of it. Let me go to basketball, Jalen. How does this dynamic play itself out in a basketball perspective?
It's a lot different in basketball because if you draft somebody at my position, we can still be on the floor at the same time.
Right.
You draft somebody at Ben Roethlisberger's position, he has to be off the field. So that's what makes the dynamic different.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing when you look at it. For the quarterback, it's his team. Like, I get it. I get his frustration. I just think with some of his comments in the past, it was strange. Okay, now Matt Ryan signs the huge contract over the weekend, and it brings up something that I talked about late last week. Ryan gets the enormous extension. He's the first $30 million per year player. There's $100 million guaranteed dollars in his contract. Good for him. He's earned it. He's a terrific player. But I brought this up last week, and I'm curious to get your take on it, Teddy, and that is it should not hamstring a team to sign a player, whether it's a quarterback or anybody, and generally speaking, it's going to be a quarterback, to this huge contract that he has earned. Now, your old teammate Tom Brady has been repeatedly willing to take less than market value, and we all laud him for that. But it doesn't seem reasonable to me that they should have to. So I proposed this idea last week. Let's get some kind of a bird exemption into the NFL where you can keep your own player and go a little over the salary cap to keep that player so you don't have to gut your roster by signing the quarterback. Does that make any sense to you?
I'm definitely on the same page with you, Greeny, about that philosophy. I've been saying for a couple years now, too, we need a quarterback salary cap where they're separate from positional players because it's just getting out of control. It's almost as if these quarterbacks, they got their own little fraternity. They got their own little club, and they text each other, or their agents text each other. Okay, you're next. You got to get more. Okay, you're next. You got to be highest paid. You need $30 million. You need $31 million. Well, I think I had ESPN stats and info. Look it up. Since 2000, no quarterback has gotten to the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl, taking up more than 13% of the salary cap. You start to just handicap your team in terms of who they can sign. What you do is you hope that the majority of your contributors are young. In Atlanta, they've got a lot of young players on defense that are still on rookie contracts. That's where they can do that. So many guys like Neal, Jones, Beasley, those guys are, I believe, are still on rookie contracts. That helps. So you can have a quarterback that does this. But down the line, this is going to hurt because they're not going to be able to sign guys because they're just giving their quarterback so much money. The Packers, they can possibly be in this too, coming up with Aaron Rodgers. Does he want to break the bank and get paid, or do you want to win championships? I want to see who the next quarterback's going to be that's going to say, hey, you know what? I don't need to be the highest paid. I need to be the guy that give me something that I'm happy with, and let's get some players in here so we can win championships.
I get it. And people, some of them will criticize Ryan or Rodgers for getting as much money as they can, and that strikes me as completely unfair also. What do you think?
Well, we just saw this happen in the offseason with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Right.
He just got a big deal in San Francisco. So how do you think that's going to affect their trajectory? Because we see teams like, say, Seattle, when their quarterback, Russell Wilson, was on a first-year deal. You see the Rams trying to go for it with Jared Goff on a rookie deal. How do you think this is going to affect the future of San Fran?
Garoppolo, I think that's 18 to 19% of the salary cap for one player. I mean, a lot of young players are going to have to step up. They're going to have to hit the draft big. I mean, these young players that come in that are on those rookie contracts have to be major contributors. That's the formula. If you have these 20% of the salary cap type of quarterbacks, that's the formula. They do have a lot of young players. We'll see if Jimmy G's up to the money.
Listen, I've got Teddy Bruschi on my side on this idea. I'm delighted. I never expected that to happen.
Quarterback salary cap. Your own quarterback salary cap.
I love it. Teddy, I'll allow you to share this idea with me. This can be our communal idea together because you will bring it credibility, and I will just yell and scream about it. Teddy, thank you very much. Good to talk to you as always. Folks, SportsCenter tonight, 6 Eastern after PTI. You're going to have Kevin Agandi and Michael Eaves telling how important a sweep would be for LeBron. Is it time for the last-place Orioles to trade Manny Machado? And the latest on Ben Roethlisberger and more. SportsCenter, 6 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. Coming up, we shouldn't be surprised by anything this guy does anymore, but he's on a playoff run that has never, ever been matched by anybody, ever. We will look at some historic numbers right after this.